This is not the video that I thought I was going to be making when I got up this morning. I sat down at the table and I drew some cards, as I do every day, and there was a message that came through that was so collective in nature that I thought I ought to share it with you. And you know, when we get these intuitive bumps, we don't question them. So let's get into it. So, unless you've been hiding under a rock for about the last 3 months, you will no doubt be aware that April is one of the most astrologically significant months of certainly 2024, but probably a long time, and of all the weeks in 2024. This one here, from the 8th to the 14th, is the one that feels very intense. I mean, arguably next week does as well, but let's not worry about that for now. Anyway, it's been done to death. There are videos all over YouTube about the astrology, and I don't intend to rehash all of it, but there are 5 key transits that are happening this week that not only provide the context for the cards that came out this morning, but I think put it very squarely within my wheelhouse in terms of how we navigate through this. So I wanted to share these with you. They are the eclipse, obviously, but conjunct Chiron, that's important. What else? Have a little look at this. Mercury retrograde and Eris conjuncting the eclipse, which is something that I only found out this morning. There's the Mars-Saturn conjunction, Mercury kazimi on Thursday, and then the Sun-Eris conjunction that is happening on Sunday. So bear with me a second. Again, the eclipse has been done to death. I'm not going to talk about the eclipse. I am going to talk about the conjunction of Chiron to the eclipse, though. This is incredibly rare to have these two things together. And what it's doing is amplifying to a significant degree the energy of Chiron, the wounded healer, in the midst of everything that is happening this week. It's a call to wake up and heal ourselves, see and face our shadow, to integrate it. See how this is sitting inside my wheelhouse. Now, in order to do this, we have to be aware of the sign, which is the flavour. It's kind of giving us the ingredients here for where the work is. And it's in the sign of Aries. Now, Aries, as all signs do, has light and shadow aspects. The shadow aspects of Aries are aggression, ego, reactivity, conflict, violence, anger, controlling and domineering patterns of behaviour. Selfishness, things like that. The light side of Aries is assertiveness, ownership, authority, autonomy, sovereignty, bravery, courage. And whatever comes up this week, and indeed for all weeks to come from here, we've got to be facing this with the higher expression of ourselves rather than reacting from a place of ego. That's incredibly important, because we're going to see where we've been acting in the shadow aspect of Aries rather than the lighter version of it. I refer to my notes here. We have to face our past deal with unresolved issues, right? This is amplified by Mercury retrograde also being in Aries. It very much puts the emphasis on going back, reviewing, reassessing, reevaluating what it is that we think that we know and how it is that we show up. Because this is in the side of Aries, likely a lot of the things that are going to come up are going to revolve around anger and rage and how we process that. And do we process that? Do we spiritually bypass it and decide that it's beneath us and push it into our shadow? Quite possibly. Do we go the other way and start being domineering and controlling people and our environment? Are we aggressive? Honesty is the key this week, because all of these things are going to start coming up this week. The second thing is that the eclipse is conjunct Mercury retrograde and Eris. Now, Eris is the goddess of discord and chaos, and I haven't really heard anybody mention the fact that she's involved here, but I think that kind of fits, right? So this conjunction is going to go exact 2 hours after the eclipse. And what it's likely to do is pull aside the veil and show us truths both within and without that could well be shocking and disturbing. But within that, there is the opportunity to see things that we did not see before about ourselves, about other people, about situations, about the world, whatever it is, and embrace those. Find ways to work with the information rather than trying to avoid it. We have to beware of reactivity. We have to be aware of impulsivity, maybe even avoidance. We have to choose to heal. Now, the third transit is the Mars-Saturn conjunction. That's happening on Wednesday. And this obviously is involving two malefic planets. Now, Mars is the god of war. Saturn is the expression of karma, I guess, on this plane. It deals with maturity and, lots of other things, right? Frustrations and delays and delayed gratification and whatnot. But it ultimately, it's concerned with our growth. And this conjunction is blending the two energies together and trying to push us out of our comfort zone, but not in a reactive way, not in a burning everything down kind of way, but in a mature way that we could not achieve otherwise. I've heard it referred to as kind of like trying to press the brake pedal and the accelerator at the same time. It's kind of like there's this huge drive forwards, but there's also this resistant force that's stopping us from going forwards in the way that we want to. Now, if we can work with both of these planets, we can grow exponentially. They're helping us master our egos, I've written here, and deal with our karma. Mars helps us deal with things without avoidance, right? Having the bravery to actually stand up and face whatever it is that's coming at us. And Saturn always rewards maturity. That's what he's after. It's this push to a more evolved way of dealing with things. And the willingness to work on ourselves, no matter what it is that shows up. The potential pitfall that you all must be aware of is the fact that both of these signs are in Pisces, and that does mean that there is the possibility of us deciding actually that it's a little bit too much and engaging in escapist behaviours and whatnot. Now, the important thing here is to notice when it happens. It's a bit like meditation, right? We quite often get quite shitty with ourselves when we're not managing to maintain that state, right? And the chimp brain starts chuntering away at us. And the practice is to say thank you, but no, and just gently push it to one side, right? In the same way here, when we notice that we're engaging in escapist behaviors, we can go, okay, I see. What am I avoiding here? What am I trying to get away from looking at? And we can actually sit with it. Now, when these two planets are working together, or when we are working with the energy of these two planets together, what we can do is allow our higher expression through, which is to ground and contain our emotions so that we're not striking out needlessly and blaming other people, trying to hold other people culpable for our own shortcomings. It would be a really good use of the energy, right? And if there's anger that's coming up, repressed resentment or frustration or any of these things, channel it into something productive, channel it into something really meaningful, channel it through your body, like get out and do physical things, hard work, hard labor. Both Mars and Saturn will reward that, provided of course you're not doing it to be escapist, but I don't think that you will, right? To use the body to disperse the physical tension of this time. Thursday, we've got Mercury kazimi happening, and kazimi simply means that Mercury has got so close to the sun that it effectively looks like it's disappeared. It's kind of like a rebirth moment for Mercury. And because Mercury is information and communication and all that kind of thing, we can use this to look within, look at our pasts, and see what it is that we did not see before. I mean, the kazimi is associated with like big aha moments, right? That can lead you to a great deal of insight that you were not able to process before. When we think about this rebirth aspect of the kazimi, it's almost like our intellectual capabilities step up. Right? Now we can access a new level of information that we could not process before and embrace it. In all likelihood, the things that come up are going to feel really uncomfortable. They're going to feel very, very challenging. And certainly seeing that reflected in some of the readings that I've done for the signs this month. But I've also noticed that there's been a handful of people who kicked back against the energy of those readings. I mean, like, no, I don't accept this. And I thought, well, this week's going to put it in your face, whether you like it or not. And better to work with it than try and resist it. Now, the final transit of my wheelhouse is the Sun-Eris conjunction that's happening on Sunday. Now, like I said before, Eris is the goddess of discord and chaos, but she doesn't create it, she reveals it. She reveals what lurks in the shadows. So it's really important to be mindful of what comes up, as this can illuminate truths, this is what I've written here, that had previously been hidden. Being willing to engage with this will bring rewards. And, you know, another thing that I wrote on my piece of paper here at the top, the wound is the place where the light enters you, right? It's a quote by Rumi. And this week is all about that. It's about being aware of where the wounds are so that you can bring the healing to it. Now, we can't change the past. I've talked about this a lot on the channel over the last 4 years, but we are able to do the most spectacular kind of time travel that there is, which is by going back and looking at situations with fresh eyes, right? With maturity, with experience. And we can rewrite a narrative that we've been working to for a very long time. If we can see where there are shadow elements at play, we can remove those. And when we remove those from the past narrative, it changes who we are in the present. And it also changes the trajectory of what we think we can achieve in the future. It opens us up to possibilities that we would not have considered for the future if we do this. Now, if I can write anything else down here, I don't think so. It's all about claiming your healing and doing the work. Right? It's your contribution to the collective unconscious. And, you know, what makes you special is the fact that only you can deal with the wounds that you hold. Nobody else can do it, and it's nobody else's job. It is yours. And this week, I think we're going to see just how charged the energies are towards supporting us do that. Now, I'm going to flip the camera around now and show you what cards I pulled this morning. I mean, the fact that there are so many is interesting in and of itself, because when I do my daily reading, I limit myself to one card and one card alone, and I simply ask, you know, what kind of energies does today have, or something like that. And instead I got 3 cards that came out, and I had this one at the bottom of the deck. And here is the message, right? We're take into account all of the transits that I've talked about that are happening this week, that are all about the revelation of the things that are sitting in the darkness, right? Here is an opportunity to grab hold of your shadow and squish it right into you, right? Really embrace it. We've got the 6 of Cups here, the Memory Keeper. We have the 10 of Cups, the joyous one. And we have the Star card. Now, this is called the Healer here. And you can see those chironic kind of influences on what's happening. I mean, I do believe that what's initiating here with the North Node and Chiron conjuncting is actually going to play out over the course of the next 6 months. So it's not a one-time deal. It's not just that on Monday, the 8th of April, you know, all sorts of things are going to come up and then you're going to be fixed. Like, this is a commitment to a long-term change. But it could be quite shocking and maybe a little bit disturbing with the speed with which that happens. Don't forget, a lot of this stuff is in Aries, so it's happening very quickly. And we can see how these cards are really dovetailing with the energies of this week. You know, the memory keeper. You are the one who contains the memory of all the pain and all the wounding and all the hurt and all the things that you've hidden, right? It is your job to bring them out. The Ten of Cups for me is the collective, right? But it's the collective emotional well-being. You could see it here as the collective unconscious, actually. So we've got the I versus the we, right? And I think a huge part of how well anybody is able to weather the energies of this week comes down to the extent to which they're invested in the illusion of the I versus the we. Right? There is the I, because you're here to kind of fix some sort of wound, right? This is what you've been charged with. But your contribution, as is everybody's contribution, is for some sort of collective whole. And we've got the Three of Pentacles at the bottom of the deck. Right? The healer, the star card, is the hope that comes from being vulnerable, from being honest, which is usually depicted as naked. Nothing is hidden and there is no fear. I mean, there's a push here towards a collective experience that is different to what we have experienced so far in our lifetimes, right? If we're all pulling in the same direction. I mean, I would entreat you to every day this week to look at the person, not to look at the grievances. Look at the person, not the projections that you are putting onto that person. You know, look at yourself, look at your wounds. Like, don't shy away from them. There's the opportunity for incredible healing this week. But it's this Three of Pentacles that really stunned me more than anything else. Now, the Three of Pentacles is teamwork, it's collaboration. Like, we're all doing our own individual work, but there are possibilities for huge breakthroughs this week, whether on a collective, unconscious level or actually within partnerships, situations, relationships right now that you're involved with. There are two things on this card. I didn't even notice that. Look at that. We've got the King of Pentacles, the angel who illuminates the shadow underneath that. Just take a look at that card there for a second. You'll notice that there are two Latin quotes on there. The one at the bottom says, ex nihilo nihil fit. The one in the middle says, labor omnia vincit. And these two quotes are so on point for what is going on this week. Work conquers all. Well, work conquers all actually is the way it is. It's all about the personal work this week. There is no getting away from the personal work. And the more that you are trying to pull yourself away from it, the more difficult, the more shocking, the more disturbing this might be. Right? We're trying to bring the shadow in. We're trying to see what it's about. Ex nihilo nihil fit. Out of nothing, nothing comes. You don't put the work in, you don't get anything out. If you're prepared to put the work in, if you're prepared to face your own shadow rather than projecting it onto other people, there are incredible benefits that will occur this week. And not just this week, I mean, rippling out for at least the next 6 to 12 months. But I mean, we're talking about a fundamental shift in who we are as people. And if that doesn't make the future a bright and shining thing, I don't know what does. Now, I apologise. I'm not a professional astrologer, and I've probably... I could probably have presented that a little bit better, but I was literally bouncing off notes that I've scribbled this morning. Those are the transits that for me are all about the revelation of what is uncomfortable, what is dark, what it is that we did not want to see. And this whole week is about breaking out of the comfortable place that we have been. There's nothing negative or depressing about that. Challenging, yes, Absolutely. No doubt about it. But we're all kind of old hands now at this personal work. We know where it goes. So pay attention to yourself this week. Don't stop asking yourself the question why. Right? When something comes up, interrogate it. Why are you here? What's this about? Why do I feel angry? Why do I feel snippy? Why do I judge so hard? Why do I get angry? Why do I not get angry? It's an intense week. But ex nihilo nihil fit, right? Out of nothing comes nothing. Put something in, you get something out. Because labor omnia vincit. All right. I'm going to leave it there. Thank you for indulging me. Much love.